Spanish class is in session.
Mr. President, I'd like to teach you how to say let's make America great again in Spanish. So, vamos a hacer América grande otra vez.
America grande otra vez.
Excelente.
Sources tell Primetime Trump's learning how to say you're deported in Spanish, too. Estás deportado. And Democrats are saying no más.
The constitutional crisis is here. In that meeting in the White House, Donald Trump essentially told the Supreme Court to pound sand. Because far from what he says is what he doesn't say. And that is nowhere in that entire meeting does the President of the United States ask the President of El Salvador to return the man wrongly sent to a maximum security prison in his country. It just never happens. The President has taken a very determined step towards dictatorship.
Does it feel like a constitutional crisis? An illegal alien gangbanger from El Salvador is back in El Salvador. After all the times they've declared constitutional crisis, this one's got to be the weirdest. If deporting gangbangers makes you a dictator, then I'm all in. They're now saying we shouldn't arrest gangbangers, that people who deport gangbangers, they should be arrested.
Kristi Noem, the head of the Department of Homeland Security, and Tom Homan, the head of ICE, must be arrested immediately for contempt of court. They're defying court orders to return Mr. Abrego Garcia from captivity and torture in El Salvador. It is time to teach the Trump administration a lesson.
Was Keith in a straitjacket? That was hard to say. Democrats charged Trump with 91 counts. He beat the rap, got elected, and deported an illegal to where he was born. Something almost all Americans want. But Democrats, and this is why they lost, want to charge Trump with another crime, kidnapping.
I think the attorney generals play a really important role right now. I think it's only a matter of time before one of them figures out how to file state kidnapping charges against those that are abducting people who are in this country legally and sending them to this new concentration camp that Donald Trump laughs about having created in El Salvador. Attorney generals are going to play a critically important role in these days ahead fighting this fascist moment in American history.
Just as Democrats can turn a man into a woman, they can turn deporting into kidnapping, just like that. And Senator Van Halen from Maryland is flying to El Salvador tomorrow to break the gangbanger out of jail.
So you've got a Maryland man who's the father of 3, illegally detained in a notorious prison in El Salvador. I do intend to go to El Salvador to discuss the release of this individual who is illegally detained in El Salvador. It is absolutely unjust and illegal to have this Marylander detained one more day in a notorious prison in El Salvador.
He's a Marylander? Since when? If I break into Mexico, am I a Mexicano? No. Maryland mom, Rachel Morin, was raped and murdered by an MS-13 member from El Salvador. And Senator Van Halen is trying to spring a member from the same gang out of prison. Trump's getting gangbangers out of Maryland, and Maryland politicians are trying to fly him back in. And late-night hosts are now calling illegals Americans.
One of the inmates currently in that prison is a Maryland man legally working here in the United States, married to an American citizen with American children. His name is Kilmar Abrego Garcia, and he was kidnapped by ICE and rendered to the torture prison because what Trump's own lawyers have admitted was an administrative error. Trump's folks are trying to whoops-a-daisy a human rights violation. It's like when Hitler came out with, "Mein bad."
Democrats are really going to bat for MS-13. First Tesla terrorists, then China, then Syrian immigrants who hate Jews, and now MS-13. Now, if you're MS-13, you're just trying to live the American dream.
We've been following the case of Kilmar Abrego Garcia, undocumented migrant from El Salvador, married an American woman, has a kid, living the American dream. Until the Trump administration sent him to an El Salvadorian mega prison.
Well, what is the American dream? Kilmar breaks into the country, gets pulled over all the time, skips every hearing, associates with high-ranking gangsters, gets his whole arm tatted up, gets an American woman pregnant, doesn't propose, only marries her after he gets arrested because his lawyers say it would look better to have roots in the community. A judge holds him and says he's a flight risk and a danger to the community. And a confidential informant tells the cops, the gang unit, that he's MS-13. And then a second judge upholds that he's MS-13. But CNN says he's just a Bulls fan.
According to court documents, Garcia and 3 other men were arrested in 2019. He was asked if he was a gang member. He said no. Garcia had been deemed a gang member by the Prince George's County Police Department in part because he was at the time wearing a Chicago Bulls hat and a hoodie.
Garcia's a Bulls fan, but he's from El Salvador, and he lives in Maryland, not Chicago. The Bulls lost 60 games in 2019, so why the hat? Can Garcia name anyone on the team? Anyone on any Bulls team besides Jordan? Everyone from El Salvador knows what it means when you wear a Bulls hat. It means you're MS-13. When you're in Compton, you don't accidentally wear red and say, oh, I didn't know red was Bloods. If you're a Latin American illegal alien in Maryland, you don't accidentally wear Chicago Bulls gear and hang around with high-ranking gangsters from MS-13. This is the reason he had to break into the country. Are you ready? A local gang in El Salvador was shaking down his grandma's tortilla shop. And his lawyers say if he gets sent back to El Salvador, he's a dead man. It's a tortilla blood vendetta. Seriously. So who are Garcia's attorneys who managed to get their client a hearing in the Supreme Court? Trump's deporting tens of thousands of illegals, and this is the only case that's gone this far. These lawyers must be good. Who are they? Well, they are good. They're the best lawyers dirty money can buy. The firms repped gang members like Aaron Hernandez and Bobby Shmurda. Aaron Hernandez was Bloods. Bobby Shmurda was GS9 out of Brooklyn. The firm also represented members of the Rosenthal Hidalgo family, traffickers in business with the cartels. And these well-paid defense attorneys took the Garcia case. But he's definitely not MS-13. These lawyers are really making him into an innocent Maryland dad in the media, and the media is drinking the Kool-Aid.
He's an illegal immigrant. Okay. He was here illegally with deportation orders in 2019. What part of that do you not understand?
I understand the story very well, and I'm going to stop going back and forth with you on this, but I will say, again, he had every right to be in this country. Is there any scenario under which this guy...
He was an illegal immigrant.
We're going to move on this.
No, I will not let you go forward.
Okay.
He was an illegal alien in this country with a deportation order in 2019. He is an El Salvadorian citizen.
How'd the media go from the border secure to MS-13 has every right to be in this country? This is a new low, even for them.
I'm not sure what is so difficult about this for everyone in the media to understand, and it's appalling, truly appalling, that there has been so much time covering this alleged human trafficker and this gang member, MS-13 gang member. It's truly striking to me.
Democrats just lost in a landslide because they let illegal gangbangers into the country, and they're still fighting for illegal gangbangers to come into the country. Even CNN agrees he's never coming back.
You don't think this man is coming back? I don't think he's coming back, basically,
Ever. Garcia's gang lawyers were in court today, begging an Obama judge to make Kristi Noem fly a gangster back to America. The Supreme Court even said these judges are out of line.
Look, they're working within the ambiguity that the Supreme Court justices gave them. They did not order the administration to return him to the United States. They said that they need to facilitate this return. They could have said, we order him returned, but they didn't do that. Yes, it does look a little bit like a semantic game, but they are playing within the bounds of what the Supreme Court ruled. So no, they are not defying this order.
James Carville, a man famous for saying it's the economy, stupid, is telling Democrats, don't talk about the economy. Fight for the rights of illegal aliens.
Sometimes you gotta on two fronts, and you can fight on the economic front, but also this is such an egregious trespass of justice that you just can't say, well, if we'll just repair to the higher ground and talk about egg prices and forget about this guy. Well, I'm not for that. I think what's happened here is a really offense against the nation. It's an offense against the Constitution. It's an offense against order. You just can't let this go.
A lot of empty bottles behind Carville there. I'm sure he had nothing to do with it. 21%. That's the Democrat Party's approval rating right now. 21%. They're defending waste, fraud, and abuse, Chinese slave labor, DEI, transgender, and illegal alien gangbangers. Trump designated MS-13 as a terrorist organization. So technically, Garcia's a terrorist. They'd rather give a terrorist the American dream than you. The American dream isn't possible without safety. El Presidente of El Salvador says it's not that he's imprisoning thousands, he's actually liberating millions. Trump says sending American bad hombres to El Salvador could help liberate millions of Americans.
He's also built one, but other also prisons, very big ones, and we're using his system because we're getting rid of our criminals from out of the United States that were allowed to come in by Biden.
Could we use it for violent criminals, our own violent criminals?
I call them homegrown criminals.
Yes.
I mean, the homegrown,
homegrowns.
the ones that grew up and something went wrong and they hit people over the head with a baseball bat. We have, and push people into subways just before the train gets there, like you see happening sometimes. We are looking into it and we want to do it. I would love to do that.
I'm not sure that's quite legal, but Bondi says we're just going to build more prisons here. But it drives the left crazy, like flirting with a third term. And it keeps the bad hombres on their toes. This is what Trump means when he says, make America great again, or America grande otra vez. Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.